I don't want to be a stickler, I really don't, but I think there's at least 12 things that Kat hates about Patrick in the poem at the end of 10 Things I Hate About You. I don't know. But I just watched 10 Things I Hate About You for the first time in its entirety, and I want to talk about it. So this movie is loosely based on William Shakespeare's play, The Taming of the Shrew. You see it in character names, brief moments of intricate dialogue, character motivations like the overbearing father and the two suitors who are trying to win the affection of the younger sister. Also a fun note, the high school, Padua High School, is named that because Taming of the Shrew was set in Padua, Italy. Anyway, we have two sisters, Bianca and Kat, who live with their father. Their mother left a couple of years ago, and their dad is going bananas, worried about them becoming pregnant. Even though he's a doctor and he's well suited to educate them on that, he won't let them date, and he changes to a rule where Bianca can date if Kat starts dating. The problem is Kat is in a very man-hating phase of her life right now. Two young men, Cameron and Joey, are interested in Bianca. Cameron is more love-struck, love-sick, and kind of out kicking his coverage. And then Joey is more lust-filled. He just wants the conquest. In order to get around the father's rule about Bianca not dating until Kat does, Cameron and his friend Michael convince Joey to pay another outcast, Patrick, to start dating Kat. And from there, the courtship begins, and then so sown are the seeds of deception. This is a 90s who's who of a cast, so we'll start with the sisters. We have Julia Stiles as Kat. She's super fierce and smart, but playing a role that would be emulated so many times in the future that her honest performance feels a bit cliche now watching it. At the time, I'm sure it felt very emotionally complex, but she's in a season of her life where everything that is expected of her annoys her, and she wants to do her own thing. In contrast, we have Larissa Olenek as Bianca, the younger sister. She wants nothing more than to be popular. She wants the normal teenage experience, and she's trying to chase those experiences she thinks make life worth living. She's the polar opposite of Kat, but she's not shallow. She's more sweet and curious, and that really helps sell her growth as the film progresses. Heath Ledger is Patrick, who's a mystery man at school. He strikes fear in the heart of the other students. He has all sorts of rumors flying about him, and people generally steer clear of him until the day that Michael and Cameron approach him for help in winning over Kat. He's got swagger, he's got soul, but deep down he's got a genuine sweetness that comes out once he opens up to the others around him. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays Cameron. Again, he's love-struck, love-sick over Bianca. He's new to school. He's your typical nice guy, and his scenes come off as earnest and anxiety-filled, so really true to that archetype. David Krumholtz plays Michael, who is the comedic engine of this movie. Every time he's on screen, he steals the scene. He's always trying to make connections, trying to gain popularity, and most of the time unsuccessful. Him and Cameron have the same dynamic to me as Sam and Neil from Freaks and Geeks, which I think is kind of notable because these both came out in 1999. Such a deep cast. We have Andrew Keegan as Joey, who's the self-obsessed tool who is also pursuing Bianca. Allison Janney is spectacular as sort of the horned-up guidance counselor. I think it's funny in this movie how openly all the staff and faculty just don't like the kids in the movie. And Larry Miller as the dad is another scene stealer with his pregnancy panic, and he ends up at the end, though, being open and willing to change and embracing his daughter's future. 10 Things I Hate About You was directed by Gil Younger. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I was surprised to find that he didn't really have anything else of note that he had directed, at least in my opinion. If I'm wrong, let me know. So I think a lot of the props go to cinematographer Mark Irwin, who framed up classics like Dumb and Dumber, Scream, and There's Something About Mary. So it's really got that quintessential look of some of those big 90s movies. I love how this movie starts with an illustration of Seattle that then dissolves into the real Seattle. The credits are big, bright, and unique. They look like scribbles on a notebook or in a diary, which is great for this cast and this time period. And then we have the Bare Naked Ladies singing One Week as the opening song. You're really cemented in time and place. The whole soundtrack slaps, a lot of great live music scenes, and I think there was about a 3-year period where you could have gotten away with a ska band being the band at a prom, and thankfully 1999 was one of those times. The story itself is great. I mean, we're talking about Shakespeare here. One fun thing, doing my research, I saw in Letterboxd that Shakespeare is credited as the original writer, and if you click over, he's credited with over 700 films, and obviously some real heat in there too. The Lion King, nice. I think it's Hamlet. But the modern day elements for the writing work as well. So kudos to Karen McCullough for her adaptation. She actually adapted another Shakespeare work, Twelfth Night, which became She's the Man, the Amanda Bynes vehicle. So writers out there, just take from Billy Shakes. I think obviously the stadium scene is such a unique look. When you have that bowl-shaped structure, you got to use it. The field is used in an incredible stunt, which I don't feel like you don't see in movies of this ilk anymore. So Michael's losing control of his dirt bike, goes over the ravine, survives, everyone cheers. It's just a fun moment that kind of gets you up out of your seat. I think most people might expect the stadium serenade to You're Just Too Good to Be True to be the postcard, but I'm actually going with this here, the band Letters to Cleo playing on top of the school roof. The stadium serenade is iconic. No doubt about that. But I feel like maybe they did it 2 or 3 times and called it good. There's headroom issues on some of the shots with Heath Ledger. It seems a little bit rushed. So I don't know if I can really call that the postcard moment. This shot, however, is insane. I couldn't believe they had them up on the roof like that. Eat your heart out, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. But the moment starts with Kat and Patrick after having made up. Kat found out he paid to play, sort of thing. But they're kissing in the parking lot. We're pulling out on a helicopter. It has to be a helicopter at this period. And then there's this insane 2 or 3 minute one-take shot of the band playing I Want You to Want Me on the roof as the credits roll. It is insane. I don't think you would ever see that again. One of the main themes in this film is the performative nature of high school and the masks we all wear. Kat is the cynic, and Patrick is the rogue and this mysterious badass. But then we have Joey as the vain and vapid popular kid, and Bianca just wants to be popular at all costs. Most of these characters, with the exception of Joey, end up shedding that mask, and at the end of it, they're better for it. It's better just to be yourself. There's also this level of trust and vulnerability that the characters go through, some of them, and some of the times it doesn't pay off. Bianca trusts that Joey genuinely likes her and is excited to be pursued by him, but that trust is broken. She does end up trusting Cameron, though, which does pay off. He is kind of a little whiny about the way he feels like he deserves love and all of that, but he at least puts his words into action. Kat finally lets her guard down after all this time to Patrick, who lets her down because he was paid to play. But he does, develop genuine feelings for her, so that works out. But it wouldn't have worked out if Kat hadn't made that choice originally to be vulnerable and to take that chance. The symbolism of Kat's final poem that she wrote and reads must be touched on. It's cathartic. It's a shedding of her armor. It's a type of emotion that she has refrained from showing the entire film. I like how the camera stays on her the whole time, really letting the words sink in, being a Shakespeare adaptation. This whole scene is like a modern day soliloquy. It's the moment where she's done trying to control her image. The party scene is just high school in a capsule. There are people putting on facades, traveling from room to room, trying to make meaningful connections, figuring out where they belong. There's chaos and sadness and joy. It's overwhelming. And if you can think of a more apt description of high school, I welcome you to try it. Lastly, they did an A+ job scouting for this school. It's a real school in real life. It looks like a castle. It's a perfect spot for an adaptation of a Shakespeare play with the drama, the courtship, the theatricality of it all. It's perfect. And as always, if there's anything I missed on the themes and the symbolism, let me know in the comments. I love hearing everyone's thoughts on these movies. There's so much to glean from them. Don't at me when it comes to the pivotal moment, because again, I'm not going with the stadium serenade scene. It's great. Again, I do love it, but it's not where things really shift for me. I think it's the scene where we're at the paintball attraction. It's fun. It's light in tone. It allows for some really fun pops of color. Not to mention, this is where we really see Kat start to let her guard down in a real way. I mean, we're giggling our heads off. We're shedding our personas we show to the rest of the school. We're starting to get real with one another and kissing in the hay. What more could you ask for? As far as problems go, I think there's a level of one-dimensionality to some of the characters, and that's fine. We need some comedy, so let's throw Michael off the precipice and let's have him being neurotic about his decision on whether or not to wear a tie to the party. But there's a good deal of surface level stuff going on here, which it's a teen movie and it's not that big of a deal. It's kind of par for the course. I still don't know if the Patrick and Kat relationship works at the end of it for me. Sure, maybe he develops feelings, but he still took the money, right? And I know he bought the guitar and all that, but there's something gross about the way it all started. What do you think? Do you think it works at the end of all this? Okay, so my final judgment, I really enjoyed the watch. I'm introducing a half spool here because it needs it. This is a 3.5 spool movie. I think the setting and the look and the music really all make this movie a time machine. I relish any opportunity to watch Heath Ledger do his thing. He was incredible. He could really take ownership over any role. So I think this is a classic teen rom-com with identity and the pressures of being an adolescent. And I should have watched it earlier. Okay, that wraps it up for 10 Things I Hate About You. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you want to check out the Patreon, please do so. I have one flat price, $3 for member shoutouts, help me pick movies, early access, ad-free content if we get to that point. So check that out if you want. But I just really appreciate you being here. And if you want to be here for the next one and hang out, hit that like, hit subscribe. But we'll see you in the next one.